Hello guys, welcome back. In this video tutorial, we will learn how to create a simple dashboard application using reactjs and design components. So in the dashboard, we will be having the header, the side menu and the page content, and then the footer. And in the side menu, we will be showing the dashboard, the inventory, the orders, and then the customers who made those orders, right? And inside the dashboard on the top, we will be showing the number of orders, the number of items we have in the inventory, the number of customers who ordered different things, and then the revenue we have generated. All of this data will be coming from an API. So in this project, we will be integrating all of these pages and these cards with our backend APIs. And on the bottom, we will be showing the recent orders, and then we will be showing the order revenue inside a chart. And in the inventory, we will be showing our list of the inventory products, where we will be showing the thumbnail of each product, the title, the price, the rating, how many we have in the stock, the brand and the category, and it will be paginated, and we will be fetching these from an API. And similarly for the orders, we will be showing the items which were ordered and how much its price, what was the discounted price, and the quantity that was ordered, and other columns. And same goes for the customers. We will showing the avatar of the customer, the first name, last name, email, the phone, and the address on which this order will be shipped, right? And again, it will be the paginated. And on the bottom in the footer, we will be showing the context us, the privacy policy and terms of use. And on the top right of the header, we will be showing two icons, one for showing documents and one for showing different notifications. The notification will be a list of the orders we have received, and in the mail icon, we will be showing different comments. Again, this will be fetched from the server APIs, right? To see how we can develop this dashboard, let's get started. I have an empty reactjs project that is using and design, and right now it's showing nothing. So let's go ahead and start adding different components to create the dashboard. So first of all, for the parent div, we can give it a class name of maybe app, and give it a style such that it takes the whole width and height. So we can copy this one, and inside the app.css, we can say its display is flex, and the flex section is column, because we will be showing the header, then the page content, and then the footer in a column. And then for the width, we will be saying that it's 100 VW, and for the height, we can say 100 VH, right? Save it and save this one as well. And here we will be adding the headers, the page content, and the footer. So for that, we can create a components folder under the source and create different files there. So we can say components, and inside that we can say the header, or maybe we can say the app header. And again, inside the components, we can say app footer, and in the components we can say the page content and the side menu, and also we can say the app routes, right? So we can add index files in each of these. So we can say index.js, sorry, it should be js. And again, in the header, in the index.js, and in the routes, again index.js, and in the page content, it will be index.js, and in the side menu, index.js, right? And let's create the components in each of these. So inside the footer, we can say it will be a function and called app footer, and we can return a div here that is saying the footer, and we can say export default the app footer, right? And let's copy this one and paste it in each of these. And instead of this footer, we can say app header, copy this one and paste it here, and paste it here as well. Save it, copy this one and insert that inside the page content. Here we can say this is the page content component, copy this one and paste it here as well as here, right? If we copy this one and add inside the side menu as well, so we can say side menu, you can copy and paste everywhere. Okay, so now if we go to the app.js, and here at the start we can say the app header, and then inside the space we can say it will have a side menu here, and then it will have a page content, right, on the right side, and after this space there will be the app footer, right? If I save it, here you go, the app header, then the side menu, and the page content, and then the footer, right? So let's go ahead and add some styling on each of these so that this looks very good. So let's close all of these, and in the app.css we can add the styles for the, we can say, the app header, then we can add some style for the app footer, and then style for the add menu, side menu, and then the page content, right? And if I go to the header, and here on the div we can say the class name is app header, right? So let's copy this one and add the classes to other components as well. So for the footer we can say app footer, and for the page content we can say it's the page content, and inside the side menu we can say the class name is side menu, right? Now if I save it and go to the CSS, and for the header we can say its height is maybe 50 pixels, right? And its display is flex, and we can say justify content space between. So we will be showing the icon here, and then the dashboard name here, and then a few icons on the other side, right? And we can say align items to the center, and we can give it a del padding, we can say 4 pixels maybe, okay, and we can give it a border bottom to 1 pixel, solid, and maybe we can say RGB A maybe 0 0 0 and 0.5, right? Or maybe we can decrease it to, again, yeah, looks good, right? So now let's go to the app header and add the icon and the other content there. So we can go here, and here we can say first it will be an image from the end design, and for the source we can use the YouTube channel icon and paste it here. If I save it, here you go. So let's give it a width of maybe we can say 40, yeah, looks good. Okay, so the next item we can render here the dashboard name. So here we can say the typography dot title, and here we can say Aamir's dashboard, right? If I save it, here you go. And then at the very last we can say inside a space we can render different icons. So one icon could be, we can say, mail outlined, and then the other could be the maybe Battlefield. If I save it, here you go, right? Maybe we can increase the font size of these a little bit more. So we can say the style is the font size of maybe 24, okay, and we can give it the same style to the other icon as well. Okay, looks good. And for now we can add a random badge to each of these. So here we can say the badge, and on this one as well. Okay, and give it a count of maybe we can say 20, right? Here you go, it is added the badge. And here again we can say the count is maybe we have maybe 10 messages, and save it. And instead of maybe here instead of this count we can say show that as a dot. Here you go. And we can add a little padding on the right side here. So in the app.css, in the app header, we can say the padding on the right hand left is, instead of 4 pixels, it could be maybe 12 pixels, or maybe we can increase that as well. Or maybe instead of this one we can say it's 20, and then maybe it's again 4 pixels and 12 pixels. So it's 4 pixels on the top and bottom, and 20 pixels to the right, and 12 pixels on the left side, right? So now it looks good, right? So if I make it full screen, so this is how it will look like, right? Okay, so next let's go to the footer styling. So here inside the footer we can say its height is again 50 pixels, and display is flex, and then we can say instead of the space between we can say space evenly, and then the align items to the center, right? And instead of the border bottom we can say the border top is of the same value. If I save it, here you go, the footer has the border top, right? And then in the page content, or we can say the space in which we have added this side menu and the page content, right here we can add is this class name. We can say side menu and page content. And if I copy this one and go to the app.css, and before this side menu we can say it displays also the flex, and its flex is 1, so that it takes all of the available space, right? So this is how the footer will look like, right? And let's add some content in the footer as well. So we can go to the footer, and here we can add some typography. So typography dot link, and maybe we can first add our phone number. We can say 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? And we can give it href as well, so that will be tel and then plus 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9, right? If I save it, this is how it looks like. So let's add some more typographies links. So that will be typography dot link. We can say privacy policy, and then the last one we can say terms of use, right? And for the href, so we can say right now let's go to the https and www.google.com, right? So copy this one and paste it here as well, right? If I save it, this is how it looks like. So if I now click on this telephone number, is try to make the phone call, and on the privacy policy and terms of use, it will open the Google. So we can say target is the blank, open it in a new tab. So let's copy and paste it here as well. So now if I click on this privacy policy, it will go to the Google, and then terms of use again going to the Google, right? So this completes our the header and the footer. So let's now focus on the side menu and the page content. So let's go to the side menu, and here we can use the menu from the end design. So we can say it's a menu, and inside that we can add the menu items. It will be in an array of objects, right? So here we can say the label of the first one is, maybe we can say dashboard. If I save it, here you go, it has added the dashboard, and we can add its key to maybe. So here we will be adding the key, something like we can say equal to the routing. So we can say this one, the key for this one is either slash, and then for the next one, item, we can say it's an inventory, and here we can say it will go to the slash inventory, right? And similarly we can say the other items. So this one we can say the orders, and it will go to the slash orders, and then here we can show the customers, and it will go to the customers, right? So why we have chosen the key like this one, because when we will be implementing the on click function here, so here we will be getting the item, and if we do something like item dot key, we will be getting the route on which we want to navigate, right? So this is why we choose the key something like this one, right? So here we have dashboard, inventory, orders, and the customers, right? And for the app.css content, here we can say the justify content is flex start, and then the align items is also the flex start, right? So that it is moved to the top. And instead of this only the text, we can add the icons here as well. Those looks very good. So we can add the icon again from the end design. So here we can say it's the app store outlined. If I save it, here you go. And then the inventory, here we can say the shop, maybe shop outlined, okay. And for the orders, we can add an icon, like we can say it's a shopping cart. And for the customers, we can say it has an icon of, we can say the user outlines, right? Okay, looks good. Okay, so let's move to the page content, and inside the page content we will be rendering the app routes. So let's go to the app routes first and declare those. So it will be a function called the app routes, and here we can say the export default the app routes, right? So here we can render our app routes. So for creating the routes, we will be using the React Router DOM, and to install that we will be saying that npm install React Router DOM. I have already installed this one, so we can directly try to use that. So here we can say return the, on the top it will be the browser router from the React Router DOM, and inside that we will be declaring our routes. And inside the routes we can say a single route, and here we can say the path of that route is the slash, and the element that we want to render at this particular path is the dashboard, right? So we can create these all of these pages. So let's create another folder under the source. We can say the pages, and under that we can say the dashboard, and then again in the pages we can say inventory, and again under the pages we can say orders, and also for the customers, right? So let's add the index.js files in each of these. Similarly, we added for the components, so it will be index.js, and in the inventory index.js, and same goes for the others. So here we can say index.js and start adding the components. Inside that we can say this is customers, and here we can say the export default customers, right? And inside that we can just return div, and there we can add maybe typography and dot, maybe we can say only a text, and here we can say customers, right? So let's copy this one and add it on other pages as well. So inside the dashboard, here we can say this is a dashboard something. Okay, copy this one and paste it here, and paste it here as well, and again copy for the next component. And for the inventory we can say inventory, and copy and paste it here, and select and copy for the next component. We can say orders, and we can paste it everywhere, right? So we have added the components for the dashboard, inventory, orders, and the customers, right? And now we can go to the page and inside the app roads, and here we can say for this one we will, for the single slash, we can say the component we need to render is the dashboard, right? So we can copy this one and add for the other three. So here we can say it will be inventory, and the component we will be rendering is the inventory, and this one will be orders, and the component we want to render for this route is orders, and for the customers the component we want to render is the customers, right? And we can go to the side menu and write the on click function, right? And here it is, the on click we're getting the item, and here we can say we will be navigating to that. So for that we can use the navigate, that is the from the useNavigate hook from the reactor DOM, right? And copy this one, and here we can say navigate to, here we will be providing the path we want to navigate. So inside the item dot key we have the path, so we can navigate to that, right? So if I refresh, okay, there is, looks like there is some error. If I go to the inspect, okay, it's saying that the useNavigate can be used in the context of the router. So here inside the app routes we have used the browser router, so instead of using here we can use it on the very top. So here we can say we can use this at the very top where we are declaring the app. So here we can say the browser router, right? So all of the components which are inside the app, either the side menu, page content, or the header, footer, everyone will have access to the router, right? So that's why we have added that on the very top. Okay, so now if I go to the dashboard, inventory, it is going to the inventory, then the orders, and then the customers, right? So here on the page content it's always saying page content, that is because in the page content we have not rendered the app routes. So if we go to the page content, and here instead of this page content text we can render our app routes, right? So if I save it, Here you go. On the dashboard, if I close this one, inventory, the orders, the customers, right? So it's showing all the. So here instead of this only the typography dot text, we can render maybe a little bigger text. So here we can say inside the customers, we can say typography dot maybe title of level is maybe 3, and we are in the customer. Yeah, this looks good, right? Or maybe level 4 will be also enough. Okay, so we can copy this one and add it on all of these here and inside the inventory, and one is left, the orders, right? Okay, so we can cut it here and paste it here, remove this one, save it, and in the inventory cut here, paste it here and remove this one, and in the dashboard cut it here, paste here and remove this one, right? So now this is the customers, orders, inventory, and the dashboard, right? And also we can add some styling here as well. So we can say add some padding on the left side. So here we can go to the app.css, and inside the page content we can say the padding left can be the 12 pixels. Here you go. So it should have added on all of these pages, right? Okay, so let's move to the dashboard page and start adding some dashboard cards here, right? So here we can say inside a space we can add different cards. So again from the end design, so the first card could be, we can say the number of orders, and here we can say the first, we can say show a icon, we can say the shopping cart outlined, and here you go. And underneath that we can show some statistics again from the end design, and here we can say the title of the statistics could be the orders, and the value could be, let's use some random value right now. Okay, and let's add these, instead of vertical we can add them horizontally. So we can say the direction of this is horizontal. If I save it, we need to add a space here, and we can say this should be inside a space, and it should be horizontal, right? This way, right? And we can, instead of showing all of the cards again and again, we can create a small component here. We can say the dashboard card, and we will be passing these type of parameters. What is the title we need to show, what is the value, right? So we can cut it from here and paste it here. We can just return it, and here we can say show the dashboard card, and we can pass the title and then the value, right? And here we can say the title is orders, and the value is maybe 1 2 3 4 5, right? And here we can say this is the title and this is the value passed as a param, right? Or the prop. Oh, one bracket is missing here. Here you go, right? So similarly we can show different cards here. So we can then show maybe the inventory, how many items we have in the inventory, then we can show the number of customers we have, right? Similarly we can copy this one and paste it 2 to 3 times, and here we can say inventory, and then we can say the customers, and here at the end we can say maybe the revenue, right? If I make it full screen, here you go, the orders, inventory, the customers, and then the revenue, right? And so we can add different icons for each of these. So for that we can say, so instead of showing the same icon everywhere, we can pass the icon as a prop as well. So for these orders we can say the icon is the shopping cart outlined, right? And we can copy this one and paste it on all of these, right? So here we can say maybe dollar circle outlined, and we can say this is a user outlined, and this is in shopping outlined, right? And we can say we will be passing the icon as well, and here we can say this will the icon. And if I save it, here you go, we have shown all of these icons, right? So let's make these icons a little bigger, and maybe we can change their colors as well. So if I decrease its size, and here we can say its style is, the color is maybe green, here you go. And we can add a background color of maybe RGBA, the red is 0, the green is 255, and blue is 0, and we can say 0.5, right? If I save it and make it its border radius to be, maybe the 12 pixels, and let's increase the font size of all of these. We can say it's 24 pixels, and maybe we can add a little padding as well. We can say its padding is 8, and increase this to 16 or maybe 20. Okay, now it looks good. Maybe instead of this, decrease a little bit more, or maybe 25. Okay, now it looks good, right? So we can add the style to all of these icons, and we will be changing their colors. So for the inventory, maybe we can say it's purple color, and we can say the background color is maybe 255, right? Here you go. And for the dollar one, maybe we can say this is a red, and it's red, and it will be 00, right? And for the inventory, where it is, so instead of the green, maybe we can say this is a blue, and it will be 0, and it will be 255, right? If I save it, here you go. Okay, so these were the top cards, and here we can show some, we can say the recent orders inside a table, and on the right side we can show a chart, right? So to fetch the recent orders, we will be using the dummy JSON, and from here we will be using the cart, and this is API to fetch the single cart. So we can copy this one and add that inside our code. So here we can add a folder inside the source. We can say the API, and inside that we can say index.js, and here we can declare our APIs. So here we can say export const, we can say get recent orders, right? And here we can, so we can just return it, right? Instead of recent order, we can say just get address. because we will be using the same on the orders page, right? So this will give us the JSON of this dummy JSON cart. So the JSON looks like this one. So it will give us the products, and we can show the product title, then its price and the quantity, and how many were bought, right? So we can save it, and inside the dashboard we can create a small component. Here we can say the function, we can say recent orders, right? And here we will be returning a table, and inside the table we will be showing the columns. That will be an array of object, and the title of the first column could be let's see what could be the title. We can say it's the title, and here you go. And let's minimize this one. Okay, and the data index for this one is, so the data index could be the same as title. And let's add other columns as well. So here we can say we are showing the title, then we will be showing the quantity, right? Make Q capital, and then we can show the discounted price that user has paid. We can say the simple price, right? And I think that's it. We can show these columns, right? And let's copy this one, and inside the dashboard, after we have these cards, we can again inside a space we can show these recent orders, right? And if I save it, here you go, it has added the title, quantity, price table. We can add this T capital. Okay, and let's fetch these here inside we can say useEffect, right? And let's declare the states for holding the data source of this table. So we can say useState, we can say data source, and initially it will be the empty array. And also we can show the loading as well. So we can say again useState and show the loading. By default it's false, and once we start loading it, we can say set loading to true. I think useEffect. Okay, and once we are done, here we will be saying that get orders from the API, right? And once we get the orders, it will be res. And once we are done, here we will be saying that set loading to be false, right? And here we can say set data source to res dot, I guess it was under the products, right? So we can say res dot products, right? And now if I save it, and inside the table we can say its data source is equal to the data source, and also we can say loading is equal to the loading state we have here, right? Now if I save it, there you go, it has shown the loading, and once it's loaded, it shows the recent orders, right? And let's remove this pagination, because we will be showing only the recent orders, right? So to hide the pagination, we can say the pagination is equal to false, so pagination is hidden. And also here we can say recent orders, and for that we can say inside a fragment we can say it's a typography dot maybe a simple text, and here we can say recent orders, right? There you go, recent order, right? Okay, so let's add a little gap between these. So for that, instead of this div, we can say it's a space and it's a size of maybe 12 pixels, and its direction is vertical. Save it. Here you go, it has added a 12 pixel. Maybe we can increase to 20. Okay, the gap has been increased, right? And instead of this 5, maybe we can show only the top 2 or 3. So here we can say we can splice, maybe start from 0 and get it only the 3. Okay, so this is how it will look like, the recent orders, right? And here we can show the chart, right? So for that we can use the chartjs, and for that we will be using the reactjs to npm package, right? So to install that we will be installing it like this way: npm install chartjs and reactjs to this way. So I have already installed chartjs as well as this library, right? So we can directly use that. And if we go to its examples and show the vertical bar chart, and if we go to the its sandbox code, right, and if we go to the app.tsx, right, so let's import all of these they have here, right? So on the top we can import the chartjs, the scale, the element, tooltip, etc., and then the bar chart from the rect chartjs too, right? And the next we need to register that, so copy this one as well, and then we have registered. And after that we have some options, whether this chart will be responsive or not, and where to show the legend, these legends, and what is the title of this chart, like this is a bar chart, right? And then we need to define the labels, like these are months, and then we need to define the data. So these are the data sets, those are defined here, right? So what we can do is we can create a component, we can say dashboard chart, right? So at the very bottom where we have the recent orders table, so here we can say this is a function, and we can say it's our dashboard chart, right? And here what we will be returning is this bar chart and giving it its the options and then the data. So let's copy this one and return the same, right? So next let's copy the options from here, copy these options, right? And by the way, I have a separate video on how to use the chartjs and how to customize it, so I will add its link in the description below so that you can take a look, right? So these are the options, and here instead of the position top we can show that on the bottom, right? And inside the title maybe we can say this is our order revenue, right? If I save it, instead of the export, this is only the options, then we need to define the data. And let's go to the data, and this is how it look like. So inside the data we have to define the labels that need to be appear here, and then we need to define the data sets, and each data set we need to define the label that will show on the tooltip. So here we have data set 1, so this is showing data set 1 in the tooltip, and this will be data set 2 in the tooltip, right? And then we have to define the values that will appear on the chart, and then we can define the background color, right? So we can copy this data and we can paste it here, right? And also copy the labels as well, right? Okay, so instead of this fake, we can maybe instead of this fake we can just do the math dot random, and maybe we can multiply it by 1000, right? So we can copy this one, it will do the same what it's doing here, and instead of using a third-party faker we can just randomize it, right? So if I save it and go to dashboard, and sorry if we have not rendered this chart, so we can go to the very top, and along with the recent orders we can show the dashboard chart as well, right? So if I save it, here you go, so it has shown the same chart here what we have at there, right? So instead of using these hard-coded values, we can get our revenue from the same dummy JSON API. So let's integrate that. So we can go to the API, and here we can say export const get revenue, right? And here inside the cards we have option for getting all cards, right? And this will show us the price in each card we have right now, right? So we can integrate this API. So this is just a dummy API, a dummy JSON. So in your case you will be having a different API, and that might return the revenue date by date or something, or month by month we have inside the app, right? So against each month we can have a different revenue, right? So because we are mimicking the behavior and we are integrating the dummy JSON, so we can integrate this API, and here we can show the user ID and then the price user has paid, right? So here we can say that we are showing the revenue by the user, right? So let's copy this one and go to our code, and we can return this fetch, right? If I save it and copy get revenue and go to the dashboard, and here inside the useEffect we can say get revenue from the API, and once it's received we can say we get the res, and it will give us the cards, right? From this response we need to construct these labels as well as this data set, right? So here we can say const labels is equal to the res dot cart dot, actually it will be cards. So res dot cards dot match, and we will be getting each cart, and here we can return the on the label we can show the user ID. So here we can say the user, and then we can say the cart dot, it will be the user ID, right? So these will be our labels. So let's construct the data sets. So for that we need to first construct the data. So data will be similar to the labels, so let's copy this one, and here we can say the data, and here instead of the user ID we can say the discounted total, and we can just return that right away, right? So this will be the data, and we have to return whole data, something like data source. Here we can say const data source is equal to let's remove this one, is equal to the labels we have right here, and then inside the data sets the label will be, we can say revenue, right? And the data will be the data we have at the above, so we can say this is the data, and for the color we can maybe use the pure red, right? And let's remove the other data set. We can just show the one, right? So we have constructor similar to we have here, so we can remove these labels and the data, right? And option will still be there, so we can update the data source inside state. So here we can say useState revenue data, and by default it will be similar to what we have here. So it will be an object and it will have labels as empty, and then the data sets also an empty array, right? And here we can say, after we have constructed the data source, we can say set revenue data to the data source, right? And instead of this data we can say this is a revenue data, right? So if I save it and go to our app, here you go. So we have the data for different users. So let's add this inside a card. So instead of this mini chart, it will have some width and height. Okay, so let's go to here, and here we can say add a card, and we can add the card here. Here you go, it has added the card, right? And if I save it, and here we can say give it a style of width maybe 400, maybe 500, and then give it a height of maybe 350, right? If I refresh, here you go, right? A little better. So we have the revenue, and then the revenue by each user we are showing here, right? So user 91 has this much of revenue. This is against the user 13, and so on and so forth, right? So maybe we can decrease the height, something we can say maybe 250 is enough. Okay, looks good, right? So this is how we can fetch the revenue from the API, and then we can construct our labels and the data, and then the data source that we can eventually render on a bar chart, right? So this completes our dashboard page, right? So now let's move to the inventory page, right? So right now it's only showing the inventory. We can show the table here and show all of the items we have in our inventory. So again, for that we will be using the dummy json, and we will be showing the products here that we have right now, right? So we can copy this one and go to the API, and we can say export const get products, or instead of the products we can say get inventory, right? Because that is what we are using, right? And here we can just return it instead of the console get inventory, save it, and we can go to the inventory, and here we can say create a useState, and loading by default it's false, and then we can say again useState data source, it will be by default empty. Okay, and inside the useEffect we can say set loading to true, and then we can say get inventory from the API. And once we have the inventory, we will be having inside the res, and here we will be getting the output inside the products, right? Copy this one, and here we can say set data source to the res dot this products, right? Let's remove this one and remove this one as well. And after this inventory, we will be showing a table, right? Let's add this inside a space and add a size of maybe 20 pixels. We will be showing the inventory and then 20 pixels margin and then the table, right? And what's wrong inside that? Okay, space. And for this table, we can show the columns as an array of objects, and the title of the first column could be, we can say this title, and its data index could be title, right? We can say title, and then we can copy this one and add few more columns. Okay, so we can first we can say title, then we can say the price, we can say price, right? And the third we can say maybe the rating, right? And the fourth we can say how much we have in the stock, right? And we can say stock. And what else we can show? Maybe we can show its thumbnail as well. So what else we can show? Maybe we can show the brand and the category as well, right? So the brand and then the category we will be showing, right? Okay, so let's copy these three and add the thumbnail here, sorry, thumbnail, and then we will be showing the brand, and then we will be showing the category. Okay, it will be the category, the brand, the thumbnail, and then stock, right? Okay, these are the columns. And for the data source, it will be the data source we have declared above inside the state, right? So now if I go to here you go, the inventory, and then this table, right? Okay, so let's make some changes here, and instead of this horizontal we can say its direction is vertical, right? If I save it, here you go, and instead of this thumbnail icon, we can show that inside a avatar. So here we can say this thumbnail is, maybe we can show the thumbnail at the very start. That looks very good here. And we can say a custom render, and it will be, we will be getting the link here, and we can return the avatar, and here we can say the source of the avatar is the link we are getting. If I save it, here you go, we have the avatars, right? And then the title, then the price, and on the price we can also show maybe the USD or just the dollar sign. So for the price, again we will be rendering it customized one, So we will be getting the value, and here we can just say inside a span show a dollar sign and then the value, right? Save it. Here you go. And then for the rating, we can show the rating component from the end design, right? And here for the rating, we can again say render, and it's a rating, and we can here return the rate component from end design, and here we can say the value is rating, and we can say the allow half is true because the rating is something 4 point something, right? It's in point, right? So that's why we are allowing the half as well. So if I save it, here you go, the rating, and we can disable it for the editing. It's disabled, right? So it's view only, right? Rating, and in the stock we have 94, brand is Apple, and the categories is the smartphone, then the laptops, and on the next page we have these items, on the next page we have these items, right? So instead of showing all of these items, we can change the pagination to maybe 10 or 12. So here inside the pagination, we can say the page size is maybe 10. If I save it and refresh, I guess it's already 10. 1 2 3 4 5, yeah, okay, maybe we can say 5. Okay, that's good, right? So we are showing 5 items at a time, right? Looks good, right? This is inventory, and similarly we can show the orders and the customers. Okay, and for the orders, we will be again showing the cart, right? So for the cart, this is the cart, and there we will be having the title, the price, and then quantity, right? So we can show this data on the orders. So let's go ahead, and maybe because it's similar to this inventory. And also we forgot to show the loading. So here on the table we can say its loading is equal to the loading from here, right? So if I go here, and there you go, it's showing loading, right? Why it's not dismissing it? I guess because here we are not setting loading to false. If I save it and refresh, here you go, showing loading and then loaded the content, right? So similarly for the orders, we can just copy all of this, and we can go to the orders, and it will be similar. So we can just paste it here, and we can just make the changes that we need. So it will be orders, then the data source, and instead of get inventory, it will be the get orders, right? And the data source, and inside that again we will be having the products. So that's fine, right? And here we will be seeing the orders, loading, and then for the columns we can decide what we need to show. So we can show the title. So we can, is there any thumbnail? No, we don't have any thumbnail, so we can just skip this thumbnail. We can say we have the title, then we have the price, then we can show the quantity. So instead of this rating, we can show the quantity right away, and then we can show the total, maybe here total, right? And then we can show the discounted price, and here we can say this is the discounted price, right? And we can remove this one. Maybe we can show the price and the discounted price all together. Okay, and again we can render it differently. For the discounted price, it will again showing the $sign, right? So now if I save it, and here it should also be the orders. Save it, and if I go to here, this was the inventory. If I go to the orders, here you go, we have created the orders page, right? Title, the price, the discounted price, the quantity, and the total, right? We have only maybe 10 items there, right? And similarly we can show the customers, right? And for that again we will be going to the dummy json, and here we can get the users, right? And this will be the output of the user. We can show some data there. So for that we will again copying this, maybe the order. Do we have thumbnail? Yeah, we have the thumbnail. So maybe we can copy the other one, the inventory one. So we can copy this one, and inside that customers, so we can remove this one and paste it here, and we can say this is a customers. So copy this one and add it at the very bottom as well. And then the loading, and here we can create an API for getting the customers. So we can go to the API, and here we can say export const get customers, and okay, p is extra. Okay, here we can just return this one, copy, and we can say return, and remove this one. Okay, we will be getting the customers there, and here we can say get customers. Okay, so data source, and once here we will be saying these are the customers. Loading, and for the columns maybe we can show the image, and here we can say the photo, and it will be the image avatar, right? And then we can show the first name. Here we can say this is the first name, right? And then we can show the last name. Maybe here we can show the last name, right? And then what we can show is maybe the email, right? And here we can show the email, and again what we can show is maybe we can show the phone as well. So we got the order, we should know whom to call. Okay, and then we should show the address, and here we can say the address, and it should be a custom render. So we will be getting the address here, and instead of that we will be showing the address, right? And then maybe with the city as well. So we can say return simple span, and here we can say the address, and then maybe a comma, and then the address.city, right? So here we can say address.city, right? And what else we should show, and I guess that's enough, right? So we can skip this last one, right? So if I save it and go to the UI and go to the customers, it's loading, and what's wrong with it? Yeah, we are getting these inside the users, right? So here instead of the products it should be the users, and if I save that, here you go. So we have the users. right? The photo, the first name, last name, email, phone, and then the address, and we have the pagination here, right? So these were the different pages, the customers, the orders, the inventory that we have, and then the dashboard, right? We are showing the number of orders we have, inventory, customers, and revenue. So you remember that these values were hard coded, but we can make these based on the APIs. So we can go to the dashboard, and here where we were showing the dashboard card, we can fetch different values here, and we can show that accordingly, right? So here we can fetch the orders list, and we can count that and show that here. And then here we can fetch the inventory list and show their count, and here we can fetch the customers list and fetch their count, and here we can fetch maybe the orders list, and then we can total the revenue generated from there, right? So this is all we will be doing in this video, because we will be using this dummy JSON. But in your case, you might have a single API that will be returning all of these values, and you can directly populate that on the dashboard, right? So let's go to the dashboard, and here we can fetch all of these values. So we can say useState snippet, and here we can say declare the state for all of these values: orders, inventory, customer, and revenue. So we can say orders, and by default it will be 0, and again the useState, we can say inventory, and its value will also be 0 by default, and then again the useState for the customers, and it will be 0, and then the useState for the revenue, right? And again then the value is 0, right? Okay, so here where we were passing the value, we will be passing the values we have here. So here we will be saying these are the orders, and this is equal to the inventory, and this is equal to the customers, and this is equal to the revenue, right? Okay, and if I save it, I should show 0, right, as expected. Okay, so here inside the useEffect, we will be calling different APIs. So first, for the orders, we will be getting the orders from the API, and then once we have the orders, we will be getting inside the res. And if we go to the API, and for the orders, you know, we are calling this one the cart. So let's confirm from the API. So for the orders, we are getting cart/1, right? So cart/1 here, right? So it will be giving us the total, so we can directly show that value. So we can say here we can say set orders is equal to res dot total, right? And if I go to the here you go, it has added number of orders. Then we can go to the inventory, and for the inventory we were calling the products, right? And again we will be getting the total here as well, right? So we can go to here and copy this one, and here we can say get inventory from the API, and it will be set inventory, right? And then for the customers, we will say get customers from the API and set customers, right? And what left? The revenue, right? So for the revenue, we are so you know, we are calling the get cart there and here. Okay, so inside the cart we we have total discount total, right? So here again we can go while we are getting the orders, we can set the revenue here as well. So it will be res dot discount total, right? And it will be this little spell. Okay, so it will be set revenue, right? And here for the revenue we are switching here. If I save it and go to here, so if I refresh, so you see the orders, the inventory, the customers, and then the revenue we have, right? And because we are getting these values from the dummy JSON, so these may or may not make sense, because for this user we are getting a revenue of maybe 8,000 and a total revenue is 1941. This might not make sense, but because you will be using your own APIs and this data will be consistent, right? Okay, here you see I'm on the dashboard page, but this dashboard is not highlighted unless I click on that. And if I on inventory and just refresh the page, this is not by default selected, so we can select these menu items based on where we are on the router. So for that we can do is we can go to the side menu, and here we can say inside the useEffect, and here based on the window location we can say const location is equal to useLocation. It's again from the React DOM, and once this location dot path name changes, so what we will be doing is we can get the path name from here, and we can say location dot path name, and here we can declare some state for the where we can on the menu we can say that these are your selected keys, right? And here we can say useState and selected keys, and by default it will be, maybe we can say it's a slash, right? When it started, and here we can say selected key is equal to an array of selected keys, right? And on change of the location we will get the path name, and here we can say set the selected keys to the path name whatever we have. So in case of inventory it will be this inventory, and order it will be this order, the path name will be this one, right? So if I go to the console, and I can show you that here we can say window dot location dot path name, so it's slash orders, right? So this is all this will be getting in this location dot path name, and as soon as this changes we will get the latest path name, and we will set the selected keys accordingly, right? So here always we will be getting or the highlighted that particular item. So if I save it and just refresh it, here you go, the order has been selected, inventory, refresh, inventory selected. So and if I go here and say customers, so it will go to the customers and that will get selected, right? And also we can make this full height, and we can distinguish between the page content and the menu. Maybe we can add some background color to this page content. So for that we can go to the app.css, and here we can say that the background color is, you can say RGBA, maybe this one. If I save it, here you go, it has added the background color. Also it's added here as well, so maybe it's just this one. Okay, and I guess this is not the full height. So if I go to the app.js and see how it's rendered, so I start with the space, maybe we can just say inside a div this is the class name, and there are two items inside that. And in the app.css, this is the class name, and under that we have side menu and the page content. And for the side menu, we can say its mode is the vertical, and then again we can add maybe this class name. We can say side menu vertical, right? And copy this one, and if I go to here, and we can say it's also height is 100%. Here you go. So its height has made 100%, and now this looks good, right? Okay, so we are done with the menu, the different pages, and the header, the footer, and the only thing remaining is these icons. So these icons are showing some dummy values. So here we can use the dummy json, and we can fetch the number of comments or the emails here, and we can fetch the number of orders we have here. We can consider those as notifications. So as soon as we get the order, we get a notification +1, right? So for that, we can go to the header, and here we can fetch the, maybe for this mail icon, we can fetch these maybe comments, right? And for that, this is the API, and we will be getting the total, right? So copy this one, and here inside the API we can say export const get comments, and here we can just return it, right? And also for the notifications, we can show the orders, right? Okay, so if we go to the header, and here inside the useEffect, and here we can say get comments, and then inside the res we can say it will be the total, right? So we can declare the comments count. So we can say useState, so comments, and by default it will be 0. And here we can say set comments is equal to res dot total, right? Dot total, right? And move this one, and we can say this comments, and this count will be equal to the comments one, right? So here you go. Okay, so if I refresh, nothing, and the dot appeared, right? That means we have some comments there, right? And similarly for these orders, we can replicate this one, and we can say get orders, and here we can say useState, and its orders, and by default it's 0. And we can say set orders, and here instead of this 20 we will be saying it's the orders, right? If I save it, it's 99 plus notifications for the different orders, right? And on click of these icons, if we want to show these emails or order, we can do that as well. So for that, we can show these inside we can say a drawer, right? And the content of that could be the title. For this one we can say this one is the comments, right? And its open state will be based on this mail outlined, So here we can say on click is will be a function, sorry, it will be making a state change for opening this drawer. So again we can go to the state, sorry, it will be a useState snippet. Okay, so we can say comments open, and by default it will be false. Okay, and similarly we can go for this notifications. So we can say useState notifications open, and by default it will also be false, right? So here we can say open is equal to comments open, and on close it will be saying that set comments set comments open to false, right? And there will be also a prop called mask closable, it will be true, right? Okay, on click we are doing nothing, so here we will be saying set comments open to true. If I save it and click on this one, here you go. So here we can show the comments, right? We can close here and close from here as well, and similarly we can do for this bell icon and copy this one, and here we can say set notification open to true, and similarly we can add a drawer for that one as well. So here we can say notifications, and it will be notification open, and set notification open to false, right? And hit notification open. Okay, if I save it, so this will show the notification and this will show the comments, right? And inside these drawers we can just show a list, and the data source for this list will be the comments, and instead of this total we can say these comments will be, yeah, it's the comments, right? So res dot comments, and res dot for the orders it will be products, right? Okay, and here instead of these orders we can say we can show the length of these, because these will be in arrays, and we can just show their length, right? And by default instead of 0 we can show them as an empty array. And if I save it, where it is com, okay, so we have 5 and this, and now inside the list we can say this will be the comments, and in the render item we will be getting the item here, and here we can just maybe return the list dot item and say that item dot what is inside these comments, maybe the body, right? So we can say item dot body, right? And if I save it and go to the app, it's showing nothing. So let's see the code. In the render item we have not returned anything, so if I return it, here you go, it has added all of these commands, right? And similarly for these notifications we do the same. We can copy this list, and inside the drawer we can show that, and instead of these commands it will be the orders, and for the orders I guess it's item dot title, right? And if I go to here you go, we have these titles, and maybe we can say this the title has been ordered, right? To look like this is a notification, right? If I save it, there you go. And maybe we can say this is a typography, right? And here again typography dot paragraph and make it strong. Okay, there you go. This has been ordered. Or maybe this just a text because it's going to the new line. Okay, so this has been ordered, this ordered, right? So these are the commands and these are the notifications, right? So this completes our dashboard. So we have shown the header, the side menu, the dashboard, the inventory, the orders, then the customer, then the footer, right? But still, if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. And if you have learned something in this video, please hit like, subscribe to my channel. See you in the next video. Thank you.